So I just saw the movie, the Ari Astor movie, Beau is Afraid. So this is just gonna get my thoughts about it. You know, it's nothing special. Like, I'm not like a movie critic or anything, but I'm just gonna say what I thought about it as someone who does like movies. Okay, first of all, they're gonna be spoilers, so go watch the movie and then come back to this if you haven't seen it. So, as you all might have known, Ari Aster is the like new up and coming horror dude. I didn't like Midsommar. Like, it was really gross to me. Like, it was a lot of like scary stuff. By scary, they just kind of threw in really gross and disturbing things, and that's not really for me. So I will say this movie didn't really have a lot of that. So I liked it for that reason. It was 3 hours long, but it was entertaining for the full 3 hours. Like, I was not bored, and I had to go to the bathroom one time, but that was because it was 3 hours long. So, but I didn't want to leave. Like, I wasn't sitting there bored. You know how like in a Marvel movie sometimes they'll have one of those fight scenes and you're just like looking at your watch? That did not happen for this. So I will give him credit there. Also, there was a lot of really cool cinematic sequences, a lot of cool animation in it. So a lot of really cool imagery that I really liked. The problem with it for me was, I think that it was, when you have the title, Beau is Afraid, then you're immediately like, okay, the theme is going to be fear. It's going to be like for example, like Dune, like fear is the mind killer. So that's where my mind was going when I went into it. And when you first meet Beau, he's very like an indecisive person. And I thought they were going to go down the like Hamlet theme of like the mom, all these other people are telling him what to do, and he never commits to anything. He doesn't know what to do. And I thought, you know what, that is a good theme. That is a good horror theme, because, you know, you need to be able to write your own script. It's very hard to do it, and like for your life. And then when you don't, you know, do what you want to do or follow what you're doing, you almost make a little mini hell for yourself sometimes in some situations, because you're living somebody else's life. So that is actually a good theme for a horror movie. And it started out really promising. There was like a creepy therapist person, and they made a big deal about these pills. Like, he's like, take this with water. Okay, so I'm like, okay, the pills are a big deal. Spoiler alert, they weren't. So it was kind of like, there was a lot of those. Like, it seemed like this was going somewhere, but it didn't. So it was disappointing in that way. But I made a big deal about these pills, right? And in the beginning, I thought the beginning, like maybe 20-25 minutes was like a really good start to a film. And I think if they would have just gone more down that route, it would have been a successful film. Like, I feel like I want to rewrite it with that premise. And this is what it was. So he comes back from the therapist. He's anxious to go see his mother because his mom is like a controlling personality. And you can tell the kind of person he is. He does what other people want him to do. You know what I mean? Which I thought was a good theme. Like, yeah, that is a good theme for a horror film. Not following your own script, not doing what you want in life, you know, following what everyone else wants. So he goes home, he has a flight tomorrow, and he lives in this really crappy place. So it was a nice social commentary. Like, he goes home and there's all these like homeless people, they're acting crazy almost. He's scared of them. He runs into his building, closes the door, and hides in his room, basically. So I thought it was a good like social commentary there. Like, maybe they could go somewhere with it, but they didn't really, I felt. So anyway, he's in his room and there's loud noise, whatever. He falls asleep and he gets these, he starts getting these pieces of paper thrown underneath the door that are like, hey, can you please turn down the noise? And he's not making any noise. So you're like, okay, that's weird. Maybe this person made a mistake. And it keeps happening, and the notes keep getting more aggressive and more aggressive. And then at one point they like bang on the door, and they're like, can you stop making the noise? And then they blast noise to like get back at him, I guess. I don't know. So then he sleeps in for his flight. He calls his mom. He's like, I'm so sorry I missed the flight. And she's like, oh, you did it on purpose, kind of thing. And or no, he's running to get ready for his flight, and he puts the key in the door and leaves his suitcase on the outside. The door's open, and he runs back to the bathroom. He forgot something. He comes back, his keys are missing and his suitcase is missing, which I was like, oh, okay, this is interesting. Like, it's gonna be like, and he's scared to go outside because there's all these homeless people and things that he's scared is gonna hurt him. And so he's scared to go outside, and he has to go outside because the medication that they prescribed this person, that they made a big deal about prescribing this, they were like, you have to take this with water, and the water in his building wasn't running. So he has to go outside to go get the water, and he goes out, and then like all these homeless people come in and ruin his house. But I feel like that's when it ended being like a good horror film, so to speak. Then it got kind of weird, but I feel like that was a really good premise. Like I thought it was really creepy, like these notes, and it felt psychological. Like I really was into that. And then even some of the shots kind of reminded me of The Shining, but honestly it just made me be like, I kind of want to just watch The Shining right now and not this. So was that a good choice? I don't know. But I feel like the beginning 20 minutes was really good. I was like, oh, this is a really good premise. Like maybe I should write a screenplay based on this premise, because like the slipping of the notes was creepy because, oh, and then another thing, when he left, the janitor was like, you're screwed, basically. I'm not gonna say the word because I don't want, YouTube to like get this video flagged. But he basically, it started out really good. Then it got really weird and like I felt like it was trying to be like a philosophical kind of thing, and it was kind of working with the whole kind of Hamlet theme of like, okay, he's too afraid to make any decisions, so he ends up sort of getting wrapped into all these other situations, because it's kind of like he kept getting wrapped into these really wild and crazy things, right? So I was like, okay, that makes sense with the theme. But there was kind of just some like silly things. Like I felt it was like a little silly. Like the mom told him that his dad died when they had sex. Like, and he's gonna, and when he's has sex, he'll just die. So he had this whole fear that he was gonna have sex his whole life. And he ends up having sex, and then he doesn't die, but then the girl dies. But I'm like, okay, it didn't really work with the theme, but I'm like, okay, it would have worked with the theme if the movie would have ended there, and then they both would have lived, and it would have been like, okay, like he needs to just not be afraid of stuff or something, okay? But that's not what they did. It like continued for longer, and it was this weird like sort of trial kind of thing, and I felt like the theme was sort of this weird like sort of toxic motherhood theme, which I feel like we just don't need that more in our society. Like there's already a bunch of stuff about toxic motherhood that we really don't, especially in American culture. Like, okay, that's how I feel anyway. Because there was this part where she's like yelling at him like, oh, and it basically comes out like, I hate you. Like she hated her son. Like she didn't want to have him, but she did want to have him, and it was weird. It was like a weird like comment on toxic motherhood, and I felt like it had some good social commentary in there, but I felt like it wasn't enough to like do anything with it. And the ending was cool. Like it had a really cool ending. Like at the very end, he's like in this trial, right? And like a few times I was like, okay, is this gonna be about like, oh, he's dead and like he's being judged or whatever? But then I don't know, it just didn't fully make sense, because like the mom was judging him. I don't know, tell me what you guys think, but I don't know. And then but the ending was really cool, because at the very end like he gets like eaten, and then like it's just like, yeah, Ari Astor. It's like, I just feel like it really needs to be trimmed down. Like I will say it was entertaining, the whole thing, but it really needed to be trimmed down. It really needed to be and like the first like 2 minutes of the movie, I knew right away it was gonna be like childbirth. Like I was like, oh my gosh, it's gonna be childbirth. Oh, and then at the very end, like, well, near the end, they have this like corny penis monster, and it was just like, it was just really like cheesy to me. Like I don't know if he was trying to be funny. Like I saw when I was looking at the movie to get the ticket, it said it is a horror comedy, and I'm like, was that trying to be funny? Because like it was just like corny to me. Like just some parts were really corny. I was like, but they did have a lot of really good actors. I will say that. So overall, I don't know. I don't know if it's worth a watch. Like honestly, I really don't know. I feel like there's so much more movies that do better themes, that just do things really well, that this just wasn't thought out enough. I'm not sure. I almost feel like he maybe should do more adaptations or something. It's you know what, he kind of reminds me of Terry Gilliam, in the sense that when Terry Gilliam doesn't actually write, like when he adapts things, it's amazing. But when he writes it on his own, like Zero Theorem, I think he wrote that. It doesn't like get it done. Like, you know what I mean? That's because Terry Gilliam is like my all-time favorite director, and I love his style, everything. And I feel like Ari Astor is like that, you know, not for me personally. Like, he's not like my whatever, but I think a lot of people like really like him because he's really good at directing, and he did a lot of cool shots and cinematography, and the imagery was really cool. But the overall story, I'm not sure. Like, maybe they should do just adaptations. You know what I mean? Anyway. All right. Those are my thoughts. I guess, what did you guys think? I don't really know. Like, again, Ari Aster is not like my favorite director. So I just think there's other movies that I like better, that I think are done better. And also another thing, what's with him and like the head, like, getting rid of heads, and like, I don't know, like, that was another theme. Like, there's this whole thing, like, her head was cut off. I'm like, or smashed in. I'm like, why are you obsessed with people's heads getting smashed in? I don't know. Again, I don't really fully know how I feel about it, but I will say this: when you have a movie where the themes are done well, you know, like, what works. Like, I'll say example for when I watched Stalker, which is another video on this channel. After I watched it, I was like, I got it. And it was a really well done movie. And it had really like hard themes to wrap around. So I will say, like, if you're walking out of a film and you're like, I don't get it. Like, I guess I'm not smart. I didn't get it. It's really the person that wrote it or whatever. They didn't really pull it off enough, because we should get it. Because with Stalker, I got it. And the more I thought about it, the more I got it. The more I think about this film, the less I get it. So, but I don't know. What do you guys think? I'd say it's worth a watch because it was entertaining. I will give it that. It was entertaining. Okay, bye.